Jennifer Kesse's disappearance is a heartbreaking case that reminds us how her family and loved ones have lived nearly 2 decades without answers. Her story still matters, and we must keep talking about her case, sharing her name and hoping for justice. This is a case that continues to baffle and haunt investigators. Today we'll dive into every detail to uncover what really happened. Welcome back to Chilling Fireside Stories. Thank you for joining me today as we dive into another heartbreaking mystery that deserves more attention. Before we start, I want to remind you that this case contains sensitive content. Viewer discretion is advised. So grab a warm drink, get comfortable, and let's begin. Jennifer Joyce Kesse was born on May 20, 1981 in Orlando, Florida. She was a bright, ambitious, and independent young woman. After graduating from the University of Central Florida, Jennifer landed a job as a finance manager for Central Florida Investments. At just 24, she had already purchased her own condo in Orlando, showcasing her determination and success. Jennifer was always cautious about her surroundings. She carried pepper spray in her bag, called people while crossing dark parking lots, and even moved into a gated community. Yet it wasn't enough to keep her safe. On January 24, 2006, Jennifer disappeared from her condo in Orlando, Florida, without a trace. Jennifer was on top of the world when she vanished. She had recently received a big promotion at work and was deeply in love. Her boyfriend, Rob, had taken her on a tropical vacation to the Virgin Islands, and they had just returned on January 22. Despite a 3-hour drive separating them, Jennifer in Orlando and Rob in Fort Lauderdale, they made the long-distance relationship work. However, the logistics were beginning to take a toll. In November, 2 months before her disappearance, Jennifer bought a condo at the Mosaic at Millenia, conveniently located near the mall at Millenia and Universal Studios. The condo was in a gated complex with a security guard on duty, but it was still under construction with workers coming and going. Jennifer had expressed discomfort about the construction workers who lived in empty apartments and gathered in the hallways, making catcalls toward her and other women. Building management claimed they couldn't do anything about it. Jennifer's father, Drew Kesse, described an incident when he was on the phone with Jennifer while 2 painters were performing touch-up work at her condo. Jennifer told him she didn't trust them and used her lunch break to drive home, unlock the door, and wait while the workers did their job because she refused to allow anyone inside her home while she was away. Drew could discern that the workers did not speak English as Jennifer attempted to communicate with them. When Jennifer and her boyfriend Rob returned from their holiday on January 22, Jennifer spent her first night back in Florida at Rob's home in Fort Lauderdale. The next morning, on Monday, January 23, she drove directly from Rob's residence to her workplace. That evening, she had a meeting with her boss and then drove back home. Toll booth surveillance cameras confirmed that she took her usual route back to Orlando. She spent the evening returning calls to her loved ones. She called her friend Lauren to discuss the details of her trip. Lauren mentioned that Jennifer was in a slightly down mood, likely because it was the end of her vacation. She also noted that the distance in Jennifer's relationship was becoming more apparent to her. Jennifer also called her parents and brother Logan, who reported that she absolutely loved the vacation and that everything seemed fine. While Jennifer was away, her brother Logan and his friends, Travis and another person also named Logan, stayed at her condo. Travis was Logan's closest friend, and the other Logan had once been a love interest of Jennifer's. When the men left the condo before Jennifer returned from her trip, Travis mistakenly left his mobile phone in the apartment. Therefore, later that evening, Jennifer called Travis and told him that she found his phone and that she would mail it to him the following day from her office. This interaction indicates that she was planning to take care of this errand the day she disappeared. On the night of January 23, Jennifer's last known call was to her boyfriend, Rob Allen. According to reports, Jennifer made the call from her landline due to poor mobile reception in her condo. Rob revealed that he and Jennifer had a disagreement during the call, which he described as similar to what any couple might experience. The argument centered on the difficulties of maintaining a long-distance relationship. During the call, Jennifer's door was knocked on, and she presumed it was her male upstairs neighbor, so she did not answer it. On Tuesday morning, January 24, Jennifer's parents received a call from her concerned employer, saying their daughter never showed up for work, which was completely out of character for her. Her parents immediately called her cell phone, which she'd had since she was 16, but it went straight to voicemail. Worried, her parents drove from Tampa to Orlando, calling the Mosaic building manager on the way to check Jennifer's apartment. Jennifer's parents and brother arrived at her apartment later that afternoon. The door was locked, suggesting Jennifer had locked it herself. Inside, everything appeared normal except for the bedroom and bathroom, where makeup and hair products were scattered, and the shower was still wet. Clothes were spread out on her unmade bed, as if she had laid out outfit options before showering for work. Her purse, phone, and keys were missing, indicating she left for work but noting that her car was missing too. Concerned, they contacted the authorities. However, because Jennifer was an adult, the police initially assumed she may have left of her own accord. Determined to find her, Jennifer's family and friends quickly distributed flyers with her photo in the immediate area around her condo, hoping someone might have seen her. A detective was dispatched to her apartment to conduct interrogations and begin the investigation. Her boyfriend, Rob, noted that Jennifer would always text or call him before work, but on that morning he didn't hear anything from her. He repeatedly called her between 8 o'clock and 9 a.m., but all his calls went straight to voicemail. Police believe Jennifer disappeared between 7:30 and 8 a.m. as she was leaving for work. 2 days later, police found Jennifer's black 2004 Chevy Malibu parked about a mile away from her condo at a different complex called Huntington on the Green. Jennifer had never been there before, and the parking lot was known for turning up stolen cars. A tenant at Huntington saw reports about Jennifer's missing car and recognized it as the car that had been sitting outside their apartment for 2 days. Surveillance footage showed that Jennifer's car was dropped off around 1 p.m. on January 24. Unfortunately, the footage was grainy, and the suspect's face was obscured by fence posts. The person sat inside the car for about 30 seconds, presumably wiping down the steering wheel and mirror to remove fingerprints, before vanishing. Search dogs tracked the scent from her car back to the Mosaic, leading many to believe that the suspect returned there after abandoning the car. Witnesses reported seeing a mysterious individual, often referred to as the Phantom, believed to be between 5 feet 3 inches and 5 feet 5 inches, but their identity remains unknown. Witnesses from her building saw Jennifer's car that morning at around 7:40, swerving out of the parking lot as if someone was fighting to control it. From there, 2 possible scenarios could have occurred. Her kidnapper might have killed her and hidden the body, or they could have transferred her to someone else while getting rid of the car and walking back to the Mosaic. Despite this, there was no real forensic evidence found in the car. DNA tests came back inconclusive, her personal effects were gone, and there was no blood. One strange thing was noticed. A weird pattern in the dust on the car's hood which suggested some kind of scuffle. However, with no concrete clues, everyone just waited for a break in the case. 2 years later, the lead detective decided to take a fresh look at all the evidence. He began interviewing people who used to live and work at the Mosaic. One woman identified the Phantom as a man she knew named Chino. At the time, Chino was in jail on statutory rape charges. But when Jennifer vanished, he was working at the Mosaic as a maintenance worker. In fact, he had done work in Jennifer's condo shortly before she left on vacation. Chino swore he had nothing to do with Jennifer's disappearance and even passed a lie detector test. It's also worth noting that Chino was 5 feet 9 inches, while the Orlando PD and FBI believed the Phantom to be shorter, somewhere between 5 feet 3 inches and 5 feet 5 inches. The investigation stalled again after the Chino angle didn't pan out, and the lead detective was reassigned. In 2016, 10 years after Jennifer vanished, she was declared dead by the state of Florida. Her father, who was present when the judge made the declaration, described it as the hardest thing he had ever done. But 2 years later, Jennifer's parents decided to take matters into their own hands. In 2018, they sued the Orlando Police Department for Jennifer's files. They won and were handed about 16,000 pages of documents, along with hours of video and audio recordings. As part of the deal, the Orlando PD removed themselves from the case, which was handed over to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement in 2022. However, it is mostly Jennifer's family and their private investigator leading the charge, along with a tight-knit group of friends and family trying to keep the search alive. They hold on to hope that someday, someone will come forward with real information about the phantom who may have taken Jennifer. Despite some interesting leads, including a witness who saw someone dumping a 6 to 8 foot long rolled-up carpet in the lake near the mosaic shortly after Jennifer's disappearance, there have been no breakthroughs. The workers in the apartment across from Jennifer's were laying carpet the day she went missing, but a dive team's search of the lake in November 2019 came up empty. The family's private detective also uncovered complaints from residents at the mosaic about construction workers making women uncomfortable and a peeping Tom lurking outside windows. One woman even reported that someone had been inside her apartment, with her underwear drawer in disarray and footprints in her closet. Based on these interviews, the PI developed a theory that at least 10 guys living in the apartment across from Jennifer's noticed her leave that morning and grabbed her as she turned her back to lock the door. The evidence suggests more than one attacker, with Jennifer likely putting up quite a fight. The phantom may have been just the driver, tasked with getting rid of Jennifer's car. Other theories focus on an obsessed coworker who showed up 4 hours late for work on the day she disappeared and blamed it on a traffic ticket. There was also an ex-boyfriend who was seen drinking in a nearby bar the night she was last heard from. Jennifer's case has garnered significant media attention over the years. Her family, particularly her parents Drew and Joyce, have tirelessly advocated for answers. They appeared on national programs like Dateline, Dr. Phil, and America's Most Wanted, pleading for information and keeping Jennifer's story in the public eye. The Kesses have also criticized the initial police investigation, claiming that valuable time was lost in the crucial early hours of the case. They have since hired private investigators to continue the search for their daughter. If you have any information about Jennifer Kesse's disappearance, even something small or seemingly insignificant, please contact the Orlando Police Department or the Kesse Family Tip Line at 1-800-423-TIPS. You can also find the link to Jennifer Kesse's dedicated Facebook page in the description below. Please leave your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep Jennifer's story alive and hope that one day the truth will come to light. Until my next video, please stay informed, stay safe, and look after your loved ones.